Okay. Loyalty, filial piety, righteousness. I'm making videos about my development process of recreating a samurai game. These are the people who made the Dark Souls series. So this series is for anyone who is interested in what goes into the process of developing an action title like Dark Souls. If anyone's interested in this era of Japanese samurai type games, if anyone has nostalgia for the PlayStation 1 era, that's who I'm talking to. So please leave a comment. I don't know if I'm just talking to myself, and so I don't know if I'm really quite getting to the point. I shared my first update 2 weeks ago, and I got a great response, but it made me realize I needed something really exciting to share, something visually impressive. And an important part of the FromSoft recipe which was missing was a boss fight. In one fight, we must face down our own father against this incredible flaming backdrop called the Hidden Temple. The Owl Father fight stands out in my mind as one of the most exciting and difficult fights in all of FromSoft's titles. I wanted to explore the themes of the father-son relationship, betrayal, and see what this fight really means. Who is Owl? He is this enigmatic character, the great shinobi. This is my intro to Owl the Father before I get into new content, which will take place in Usui Forest. To get a better feel for the character and to get into the mind of Owl, I started off with drawings. I looked at the official concept art for Owl and I started thumbnailing, thinking how I wanted to represent Owl and how to compose a picture to show the relationship between Owl and Wolf, father and son. I wanted to finish this piece in one day so I could get right away to modeling and animating. So I quickly decided on the thumbnail and I started painting. From the start, I knew I wanted to explore another side of Owl than was presented in the game. We already saw how he can be evil and corrupted and heartless, but who is Owl really? I don't believe he is as evil as the game limited us to seeing. No one is that one-dimensional. Owl saved you from death. He pulled you, starving, from the battlefield. Trained you, raised you, and placed you in a position of respect and value. How impactful could this fight have been if you had more experience with Owl, training and growing in the Usui Forest, to see another side of your father and the relationship between Wolf and Owl? What does it mean that Owl took you in and called you his son? He is your father. How can you be a father and not have some aspiration for your son's future? What father voluntarily pulls their son from a battlefield, raises them to adulthood, and then wishes them actively to fail in life? Or actually tries to kill their own son? What would be the point? What does it mean to want something with every fiber in your being, to be totally overcome by that thing? That it inspires the ability in you to kill your own son or to kill your own father without hesitation. We know that Owl is a spiritual person by his appearance. His long hair isn't just a fashion statement. The body, hair, and skin have all been received from the parents, and so one doesn't dare damage them. That is the beginning of Sao. With the sketching and exploring phase down, I felt I had a better understanding of the character, his proportions, and his personality. So the next day I started modeling. Owl is an imposing figure. He towers over Wolf, but he is not sluggish or slow. He is lithe, fast, and actually a lot of that bulk is from his robes and his owl feathered vest. Since this is a PS1 style game, I'm working hard to limit the number of vertices and faces in my models. The memory limitations of the original hardware meant that something like a total of 10,000 polygons could be rendered on screen at one time. And actually, while I went over 1,000 polygons for Owl, the area he is fighting in is very simple, and so the total number of polygons that will be on screen at any one time will not be that high. More important for me, however, is the look, rather than adhering strictly to the PS1 hardware limitations. In order to even begin animating a character, you need an idea about their personality. To give a character weight, their actions need to have meaning. Their actions are their animations. Animating is by far the most time-consuming part of this process. FromSoft's combat is based around these highly tuned animations and sequences of animations, and so I'm taking extra care to stick to the timings of the attacks, but I'm still constricted by this low-poly PlayStation 1 body. Each boss in Sekiro is unique, and Owl's fight is by far one of the most exciting in the game, maybe in all of FromSoft's games. Owl is crafty. He taught Wolf everything he knows. He is the great shinobi. His movements are very like that of a predatory bird. He flies through the air, striking at you and quickly escaping. The fight is constant movement, constant pressure, and constant clashing of swords. Let's look at the way Owl and Sekiro both deliver the final killing blows of the fight. The way Owl slowly draws the sword out of the player's back. There's no spite there, there's no disrespect. This is the warrior's life, this is the shinobi's life. What does it mean? Family, loyalty, and power? Aren't these the defining values in Japanese society at that time? Listen to Owl's dialogue when he dies. He's not angry, he's grateful to have been killed by his son. Wolf's death blow on Owl is also the same as his death blow on Lady Butterfly. There is respect to be seen here. These animations aren't meaningless. The way a character moves, the way a character behaves, this all stems from their essential being. Their nature is conveyed more through their movement and animation than through their dialogue just taken at face value. This is something that I was able to learn about these characters by animating painstakingly, frame by frame, analyzing the animations of these characters. These death blows have none of the cold efficiency of the killing blows dealt on Sekiro's or Wolf's other foes. Even his death blow on Emma doesn't have the same kind of gentleness as his death blows on Butterfly and Father. These whole boss fights are leading up to the intensely satisfying death blow moments. So of course they are supposed to carry weight and meaning. Look at the death blow of the Divine Dragon. The death blow is the climax of these intensely difficult struggles for victory. I wanted to implement a highly reactive and flexible system for my AI, but I may just have made things more complicated for myself. My enemy AI have both a finite state machine and a behavior tree which govern their actions and animations. The state machine has states such as idle, attacking, hurt, and dead. Within the alert and attacking state, I am implementing a behavior tree. A behavior tree consists of nodes, and nodes can be of a few different types. Nodes all have a node state property, which designates that node as either running, success, or failure. Each node contains an evaluate function which determines the state of that node. The node types which control the flow of my program are selector and sequence nodes. A selector node lies at the root of my behavior tree, and it will evaluate each node until returning success. So if a node returns a failure state, it will move on to running the next node. A sequence node runs all child nodes, and only if each child returns success does a sequence fully return success. So in my tree, I currently have two different sequence nodes, an attack sequence and a chase sequence. Each sequence first checks if the target, which in this case is the player, is within a desired range, and if so, will attempt to attack or to chase the player. Owl's behavior tree will include more sophisticated behavior because he is highly reactive to the player's actions, blocking attacks, countering thrust attacks, and performing different attacks depending on his distance from the player. The most fun part of this process so far has been creating the arena for this fight. The hidden temple is just this incredible inferno of a backdrop for the duels with Wolf's teacher and Lady Butterfly and his father and Owl. I initially had this shader animation I was using for the flames, but to better capture the PS1 aesthetic, I took inspiration from Tenchu and I did frame-by-frame animations of fire, different fire effects. I'm using shaders to animate flames crawling up the pillars and the walls of the temple. There's much more that needs to be said about the Owl fight, and I have quite a bit of work left in implementing even the basic functionality for the fight. This would actually have been a better place for me to have started this project because the Owl fight takes place within this confined environment, and the game's mechanics are restricted to their essentials. There's no sneaking or traversal involved, just pure sword fighting.